Well, hello, NCC, and good day to all of you. Pastor Todd here, and just bringing you this short video, hopefully of some encouragement to you. It is a beautiful sunny day today. I know we're kind of in the getting to that stage where seasons are going to change and it's going to be warmer outside. I'm so looking forward to that. But today, I don't know, it has this sort of sense that it's like you'd see cartoon birds floating everywhere, and it's right, it's got that mood about it, and that things are changing, and that's such a good thing. Just a side note though, if you do see cartoon birds, see the doctor. Just word of advice. So glad that you're here. I really hope that you are doing well, and I just wanted to take a few moments today and just to encourage you, by saying this: life will get worse. It's a reality, and I know that doesn't sound encouraging, but trust me, it is. I have a good friend who is in his last year of university, and really getting his life all together, right? We're getting ready for that next step in next phase in his life, and he's a very detail-oriented guy. So he has all of his goals all kind of set. Here's the next 6 months. That's what, my life is going to look like. Here's the next year, the next 5 years, even the next 10 years. And so he's got lists, right? He's got all of his goals laid out, and here's how I accomplish those goals. And so we're often meeting, and I'm often reminding him, right, that as much as we can plan our steps, as the proverb says, that God ultimately determines our path, and that there's just times and seasons of life where kind of things get thrown into life that kind of really mess us up and shake us up. But him being so detail oriented and really just kind of realize that maybe that he can kind of take care of this himself, and he's determined to take care of this himself, and just come to this place that he could be a better person. And that's not a bad thing. But there's things in life that kind of come up, as a lot of you guys know, and that really throw us off, and really, in essence, things get a lot worse. And so for my friend, about a month ago, the worst happened. He broke up with his girlfriend and was devastated, shook the foundations of his life. Because as a part of these increments and plans that he's got, he's also has her as a part of these, and then now that's all changed. And so it's really shook him, and it made me really think that, this is a reality for every single one of us. For all of you that are watching this video today, we need to know the truth that life may, but most likely will get worse. But that's not a bad thing. And so with our theme this year of how Jesus makes sense, and not just makes sense to me, but makes sense to everyone. And some don't realize that yet, and I get that. And so hopefully these videos are not, it's not just advice, it's really a tangible reality of faith and life in Jesus. And so there's a passage I always think of, I always go back to, and it's in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, and really from verses 7 to 10. But it's about the Apostle Paul, and he is writing a letter to a church, and he's writing from prison, and his life is you could say from prison is not ideal, to say the least. But he's sharing with them all of the difficulties that he's gone through, all the struggles of life that he has gone through, and so while others are boasting about their life and about how gifted they are, or about how things have gone so well, or even boasting about how well they know God, truly know God, he has been tempted to boast, but he said that God has kept him from boasting. And specifically, he said, "Therefore, so that I would not exalt myself, a thorn in the flesh was given to me, a messenger of Satan to torment me, so that I would not exalt myself." God is doing whatever he can do, and which is anything, to keep Paul from boasting about himself, from bragging about himself. But he said, "Concerning this, I pleaded with the Lord 3 times that it would leave me. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is perfected in weakness." Now, what's interesting about this is that we know what it explicitly says. Paul prays that whatever he's going through, he calls us a thorn in his flesh. We're not even sure what that means. It's figurative. He doesn't actually have a thorn jabbed into his side or anything like that. He's either struggling with a physical ailment. He maybe has trouble with eyesight. Maybe he has a speech impediment. Maybe he has a disease like malaria that just he can't seem to get rid of. Or there's something deeply emotional that's going on in him. He said previously that he goes, I'm with, amongst other things, he has a daily concern for all of the churches. So there's this sort of holy anxiety he has, worrying about churches. Maybe that's what's constantly bothering him and he can't shake it. But whatever's going on in his life, it is for him the worst. Like the worst has happened. He can't get rid of it. And so he's pleading with God to get rid of it for him. Have you ever been there? Have you ever gone through something where you've pleaded, listen to that word, pleaded with God, just take it from me, remove it, remove this stress, remove this weight, remove, God, this anxiety, get rid of this depression, this sense of despair right now. Have you ever pleaded with God? Well, that's where Paul is. The worst in life has happened, and he's pleading with God to get rid of it. And so we know explicitly from the Bible, meaning this is literally what it says, that he's pleading for it, that it would leave him, and that Jesus says, my grace is sufficient for you, my power is perfected in weakness. But we also know that implicitly what God is saying here is no. Think about that. Paul is pleading with God in this moment in life that he just really wants to change, pleading with God to change it, and God implicitly says no. No, but my power is made perfect in weakness. So when I say to you, and it is an encouragement that life will get worse, because that is the reality, that we can also know the reality that in these moments God says, through his son Jesus, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is perfected in weakness. In other words, I have given you everything you need in this worst moment of life. I am the source of strength for you. And it's going to be made perfect in this time where you're the weakest. And so here's Paul's response. So he knows that truth. He hears God speak to him in the worst moment of his life, in despair. He hears Jesus' words that says, listen, I am here, and what I'm going to give you, whether it's strength or support or encouragement, whatever that is, it's his grace, it's given to Paul, is going to be enough to get through this time. And so that's the same truth for you and I. And so here's then Paul's response to this really awful time of his life. He says, therefore, because knowing God's going to come through, I will gladly boast all the more about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may reside in me. It almost sounds like he's like, bring on the weakness. Like, so if Paul's watching this video and he's like, so Todd, you're telling me life's going to get worse, and I know the tangible reality that God's going to come through by his power, then bring on the worst. Bring it on. Bring on the weakness. Bring on the hard times. Bring on the difficulties. Bring on the breakups, so that Christ's power may reside in me, so I might know it. He says, so I take pleasure in weaknesses. Listen to that. I take pleasure in weaknesses. There is joy in the worst moment of life for Paul. He says, I'll take pleasure in weaknesses, in insults. Have you ever been insulted? In hardships. Have you ever gone through a really hard time? What about persecutions or in just difficulties in general? He says, for the sake of Christ, I want to take pleasure in all of those things. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Now listen, this is not just a different perspective when trouble comes. This is about knowing the tangible reality of the power of Jesus Christ in our lives. And we know it when life gets worse. We would know the tangible, like the felt presence of God in our lives to give us the strength that we need. Because in those weak moments, in those difficult moments, we are just grappling for some kind of answers and pleading with God for some relief. And so it's not a change of perspective just to think of something differently. No. It's much deeper than that. And this is where only Jesus makes sense, is that his power comes through when we are the weakest. And so continue to plead with God, but expect tangibly a felt reality of God's love, of God's compassion, of God's strength, of God's support when things get difficult. And so that's my encouragement for you today. If you're going through a really difficult time, know that things might get worse, but also know that you have a God who loves you and cares for you and wants to be present and will be present if you lean on him and depend on him and follow him. And then you'll know that tangible reality and the power of Jesus in your life. Think about that today. God bless you guys. I'm praying for you always. Just if you haven't checked out The City, we are live on Instagram on Friday nights at 7:30 with a Zoom after party that you're all invited to. That immediately follows our live broadcast. We have fun together. We laugh together. I think we laugh together. It's live. I laugh. How's about that? I laugh and you can watch me laugh. And then we dig into God's word together. So be sure to check that out Friday nights, and I will hopefully see you very, very soon.
When faith is lost and my hope exhausted, you will be my strength.